Turning now to Syria, where rebel forces have reportedly suffered their worst defeat in years. Syrian state media and a human rights group say forces of the Bashar al-Assad regime have now captured most of northern Aleppo. Hundreds of civilians fled the city as the Syrian army moved in. Syria, backed by Russian airstrikes, began a heavy assault on the city back in August. So since then, some 250,000 people in Aleppo's eastern districts have been trapped in brutal and worsening conditions. CBS News foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is following the latest from London. Liz, thanks so much for joining us. Capturing the eastern-held rebel-controlled area of Aleppo would be Syrian President al-Assad's biggest victory since the beginning of the country's civil war back in 2011. But the main threat, it seems, to the rest of the United States and the rest of the world, really, is the Islamic State. Overall, can you help explain why Aleppo is so important to both sides of this war?
This war is mind-bogglingly complicated. So let's begin with Aleppo and ISIS. There is no ISIS in Aleppo. The city, if you imagine it as a pie, it's been almost cut in half. The west side has been under government control, the east side in control of opposition fighters, we say, generally, among them some Islamist fighters formerly associated with al-Qaeda, definitely fundamentalist extremists, and then a whole patchwork of other groups. And together, and you could call it an alliance of convenience, they were fighting to keep that half of the city out of the hands of Syria's government, out of the hands of the Syrian army and Bashar al-Assad. Now, I should say that although the army has made big inroads today, they've pushed down from the north, sort of at 2 o'clock on that pie I was describing. They are by no means close to taking the whole thing. So this battle is not over by a long shot. The reason it's so significant is that it's the last large urban area in Syria that is not in government hands. If Bashar al-Assad and his army manage to take eastern Aleppo in the coming days and weeks, they will have consolidated control pretty much 90% over the populated part of the country down the middle. And that is a very important marker, if you like, for Bashar al-Assad. It's probably getting close to the point where he'll be able to say with the backing of President Putin, you know what? Nobody's going to get me out of my job. I'm staying.
Oh, wow. Liz, you've talked to rebel and Kurdish leaders on the front lines in Syria before. Do these groups need to form some type of alliance to defeat Assad's regime? Or what exactly do you see needing to change at this point?
Boy, it's so complicated. I think that for a lot of the rebel groups, there is never going to be any meeting of the minds. They will never join President Bashar al-Assad. They'll probably go into exile when they're forced. Nobody really knows how far Russia is willing to back President Bashar al-Assad. If the Russians will back him from now until January, maybe what we'll see is the joint Russian-Assad axis, if you like, saying to Donald Trump when he becomes president, look, we control most of this country, how about a deal? And that would mean you Americans keep bombing ISIS in the east part of the country over the desert, and maybe we'll make some sort of an agreement to work together to fight against the fundamentalists in the eastern part of the country.
Liz Palmer, I know it's a complicated topic, but you do a great job explaining it. Thank you so much from London today.